Hello, my natural born scientists. Welcome to my channel. I'm going live to introduce my channel. I am, I guess I can classify myself as a scientist, the scientist that discovered emergent chemical evolution. Uh, my plan for this channel is to explain my theory, um, share with you the major points of that theory, answer any questions you guys may have. Uh, One segment I'm planning on starting is called the Bookshelf Corner, where I will explain these are the books that I use to help explain my theory. And on occasions, I will grab a book, go to the section that helped me out, and explain why it helped me out. And basically, hopefully, share with you the experience of discovering this theory. My theory explains step by physical step, one step leading to another, the full process of inanimate matter becoming life. Uh, this theory took me 14 years to develop from beginning to end, of daily research, reading, um, contemplating, writing, uh, scouring through books, thousands of articles. Uh, when I decided to tackle this problem, um, I decided to do everything from scratch. I did not come with any preconceived notions. I disregarded any prior research uh, attempts at solving the problem, I should say. Uh, I wanted to do everything from scratch, have no sacred cows, have no preconceived notions, just start like a babe, start from scratch, question everything, and not take on any assumptions from prior scientists. Just look at the problem anew, straight from questioning every single thing, not going back and seeing what other people concluded. I wanted to draw my own conclusions, go back to the basic research. I mean, here's one of my prized books. This one is a collection of articles from the Nobel laureates themselves. These are the actual articles that the Nobel Prize winning researchers in life wrote that got them the Nobel Prize. This is straight from their minds. These articles are reprinted here in their entirety without any filters from text or classes. This is actually what they wrote about their discovery. So what I did was go back to these, reread them, uh, scour them as well, and go back to the basics. Did not assume anything, and 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 did the research as if I knew nothing, which when it comes to life, most of us really don't. Well, at the time, didn't know anything, because I did come to a solution that I believe is correct. Um, I discovered uh, 14 different papers from various fields of science that are positive results of experiments that show that the conjectures I arrived at with my theory are correct. Most Nobel winning theories have one or two articles or experiments confirming the validity of their theory. My theory has 14 that I've found so far, and I'm sure there's going to be more that are going to confirm what I'm saying. These These experiments are so varied and in such different fields of science. I mean, of course, life related, but in different specialities in biology, that they confirm without a doubt that my theory is the correct theory on how life started. I mean, life, if you think about it, let's go with one of the problems that most people are not aware of with DNA. I mean, when I took the course on genetics, it's something that really surprised me was that out of 30 attempts of the pieces that copy DNA, out of 30 attempts, they're only successful once. So that means it's 29 times out of 30 that the components fail to get together to copy DNA. That is a very imperfect system, I think. I mean, albeit the affinity and the accuracy of DNA copying, once it does happen, is very accurate. There's no doubt about that. But the components to be able to do that job have to attempt 30 times before they coalesce to form a functioning mechanism, is to me very not optimal. I mean, it might be optimal in any other arrangement of matter to make that happen. It might be the most optimal way of that occurring in the universe, but it is a haphazard system. And a haphazard system after 4.5, well, let's say 4 billion years of life evolving, tells me that it's not a perfect system. A perfect system is not necessary for life to begin. And one of the misconceptions I believe that has thrown off prior attempts at solving this issue is that they're seeking a perfect molecular system to commence life. And what they're looking for is a perfect molecular basis for life to occur, which life itself is not a perfect molecular system. So according to what I've determined that life is a condition, a set of conditions that allow organic molecules to function together to conduct the chemicals of life, the reactions of life. And life is just the perpetuation of that condition and those molecules together. The condition and the state or the environment and the molecular basis are equally important. They both have to be together. If you remove the conditions, the optimal conditions for those molecules to work, then death occurs. And you just have molecules that once were part of life, but that no longer in the condition to function. So then you have death. Again, if you reintroduce those proteins, chemicals from a prior life and put them back in the conditions to function, they will function. If you take, let's say, morphine. No, better yet, insulin. It's a protein. Insulin, if you take insulin from a cow and you take it and put it in a vial, it's not going to function. But if you take that insulin and inject it into a person, it will once again take the conformation necessary to function and do its job as it did in the cow and the human. So the components will always work if you reintroduce them into the state of life, those conditions that are conducive to life. So, but you need to have them both. One of the things that helped me to find the proper solution is to realize that how poisons work. Poisons, like here's a perfect one: cyanide. Cyanide, the way it works is it blocks the portals of the cell, operation to occur in a cell, and then that cell eventually dies. And the way the cyanide works is it blocks the portals, allowing the cell to respirate. What happens is the cell no longer is able to maintain homeostasis. And the way that happens is that it's unable to remove carbon dioxide from its not protoplasm, that doesn't exist, the cytoplasm, and unable to maintain the proper pH within that cell and causes it to die. Now, what's important about this thing is that the way it does it, it blocks the ability of a cell from removing carbon dioxide and allowing the proper pH to exist, which when carbon dioxide is introduced to water, it makes it acidic, slightly acidic, but acidic enough for it to occur. I mean, one of the things I learned in anatomy class when I got my degree in nursing is that you cannot survive without carbon dioxide in your system. You need to have a certain amount of carbon dioxide to maintain the proper pH of your blood, of the cells, in order for them to work. If you have zero carbon dioxide in your system, you will die. Now, of course, we know if you inhalate only carbon dioxide, you'll die. But we're thinking that that's only because we're not allowed to, we don't have any, it's a lack of oxygen that kills us. But really what happens is an imbalance in the pH of our blood and our cellular systems occurs because we don't have that exchange of carbon dioxide, of oxygen with carbon dioxide. Again, if you have only oxygen, you still will die because the proper pH of your cytoplasm and your bloodstream will not be correct, and it will not have that homeostasis. The body won't be able to maintain the homeostasis, and all your cellular systems will cease to function. The proteins will denature. They won't be able to. They won't have the proper shape anymore to do their catalytic activities, and that's what basically cyanide does. It stops the carbon dioxide from being transported in and out of the cells, and then the cells. Cellular systems inside the molecular systems lose their shape because they're no longer in the proper pH and they're unable to function. So what life is that state of optimal condition for the proteins to function. Now, that's the thing that we need to determine. How did that state initially occur, and how did life continue to maintain that state? And the importance of carbon dioxide in water has been overlooked in all other research, in the origin of life research conducted by everyone else. Nowhere in their papers have I read any reference towards the importance of carbon dioxide in water to maintain the proper pH. I think that's one of the key things that had made them pursue other routes that were not conducive to solving the problem. Once I learned that in nursing school, that took me leaps and bounds in my research and in solving this problem. That key fact right there of trying to determine what conditions are conducive to achieving that state in the prebiotic earth is key to determining how the molecules coalesced and began coordinating, working together to eventually form life as we know it. The key term here is the conditions and the cooperation of various molecules, because this notion of a single molecule replicating itself is not evident in any life form that we've studied, is not evident in any genetic research of the simpler life forms that we've studied. There's no system of singular replicating molecule. Even among the viruses and pathogenic molecules, they don't do that. Everywhere we look, where life exists, from the simplest to the most complex and back and forth, working together to produce function and products that are beneficial to life. We don't see anywhere any system that is singular based on one molecule replicating itself. There's no evidence of it. If such a system existed and it was robust enough to work in prebiotic conditions, as the earth changed and became more stable, and the conditions more conducive to life, I hardly doubt that such a system would cease to function or cease to exist. As a matter of fact, according to my theory, there is a trace molecule that still exists today within the DNA of all of us and every single life form we've studied that shows evidence of the first replicating system that worked at the beginning of life, that shows that my theory is correct and was the beginning of life. So I hope that you will subscribe and stay tuned and subscribe to my channel, and please return to see the portions of my theory, and hopefully, you too will see the validity of my theory, and hopefully check out the other videos I've produced, and hopefully enjoy the process of me explaining how I came to this point, reviewing the books and what sections of the book helped me to fill in the holes of my theory. And I got it to a point where there are no longer any holes. And my theory shows exactly how inanimate life and the conditions that the earth created led to life. And the evidence is within our DNA, within the experiments that I reference in those articles I reference in my book. And hopefully you'll see that I did achieve my goal of solving the origin of life. My future live broadcast will be a little bit more structured. This was haphazard, and this is the first time I've ever gone live, so I'm kind of nervous. Hopefully you'll enjoy the process of learning my theory, and enjoy the trip with me. So until the next time, my natural born scientist. I'll see you then.